welcome back to Just Ranked. This is our weekly show where we rank our best top 4 of whatever topic. This week's topic is going to be pretty fun. It is punk music. So, I wasn't a huge punk fan, so I did some digging, and I found some cool history, which is really what I love doing with this. I listen to a boatload of songs. Let's get the other stuff out of the way. Visit JustRankPod.com. Click like, subscribe, hit the bell like AC/DC. Set your podcast to download so you'll automatically get it. And right away, you wake up in the morning, boom, it's there. You get to hear us. You get to hear our picks. You get to hear the music. And YouTube, you get to see us. So that's your fun part. So pretty straightforward. We're doing punk rock. Little brief history here. It's a high energy driven rock. It's a subgenre that emerged in the mid 70s. It's raw, it's fast, it's very short. Generally it's about anti-establishment political lyrics. It has origins in 2 different places. It has origins in New York, and it also has origins in the UK. There's about a 2-year time difference. 1974 in New York City. The example for that would be the Ramones. 2 years later in the UK, it explodes. And the example for that would be the Sex Pistols and the Clash. So 3 completely different groups, 2 different parts of the world, and they set the world on fire doing that. It's really cool. Its roots are based in the 60s garage rock scene. They had angst against the corporate nature of music, so they kind of wanted to do an FU with this hard, fast and heavy music. Bands like the Stooges, the Velvet Underground, MC5, again, 74, 76, that happens. CBG in New York was the epicenter for the 70s American punk rock scene. Most of these bands, they're self-produced. They raised their own money. They did whatever they could to get these records demoed and recorded. And a lot of them were demo quality for the longest time. They were distributed through indie labels, so it was done on the super cheap, super fast. This music led to a major cultural phenomenon, giving rise to punk subculture. The fashion, it was deliberately offensive. Leather jackets, studded spiked bands, ye old safety pins in the face, the nose, the eyes, everywhere, the lip, everywhere you could. It was done intentionally to incite. The movement later moved into different subgenres: post-punk, hardcore, and eventually into the 90s industrial music, industrial rock, industrial metal. So it really had a long build, and it really formed a lot of modern music now today, and it actually established a bunch of counterculture style recording, which some bands still kind of use to this day. And it's really, really cool to learn this history by doing this podcast. So I learned a lot. It's pretty straightforward. That's it. That's my opening. That's my intro. Do you guys have anything to add to that kind of definition?
No, I think you kind of hit on those. It was very counterculture. As it's always been. The fuck Nazis. Fuck the Queen. It's always been completely anti-establishment. It's always been. It's always been about the little guy against the big, against the big corporations, right? Mm-hmm. It's always where it was been. That's where it started. It stayed that way through the entire time to probably until the 90s, right, when it became really kind of punk, but not really punk, pop punk.
Right. Modern culture, yeah.
But even then, and you can take a band like Green Day, who's based in punk, right? And sure, they're more pop punk than anything else, right? But they're very anti-establishment, correct?
Right.
So they're still carrying on, even though their music might be a little more catchier and they have melody to their songs.
Yep.
They are still have the same attitude.
Yeah, and when I looked at any list that said, top 50 punk songs of all time, there was always a Green Day song on there. There's an Offspring song on there, even though I'm not a huge fan of either one of those bands, but.
Well, that brings up one more thing real quick. We are doing punk, but we're also keeping it closer to the origins. We're doing 70s and 80s. It gave us a bigger skillet to cook with. So just so you guys know, our parameters were 70s and 80s. We didn't go into the sub pop punk, the Blink 182s, Good Charlotte, those kind of things. We stayed.
Ataris, like.
Yeah, we're playing closer to the cuff of the origin. So, well, before I hand it off to Joe, do we have any thoughts on Samesies?
I do. I was kidding.
Again, Joe is not involved in the Samesies. It's just the three of us because Joe is doing some on-the-fly editing for us, so he knows our picks.
And he's going first, so we'll see if he remembers to change his own album cover.
Dude, that is so much more work. I just pick up my 4. I don't care if you guys are smart enough to pick the same songs as mine because we all know my picks are correct. So
right.
I will go with 1. I'm picking 1. I was going to pick 0, but I'm going to pick 1.
I usually go 2. I'm going to go 1. I'm going to go 1 on this.
Well, fuck. I was going to say 1 as well because we always say 2, but I also skirted the rules a little bit, so I don't know that we're going to have a lot of Samesies.
Well, I skirted the rules pretty big on one of my picks.
I'm going to say, I'll say 2 just to be different than the other 2 guys. How about that?
All right. So with that, Joe, you lead the way with the real list, and we'll just throw ours away.
Like I said, if you have Samesies as me, that means you're right. So
right.
Unlike the last 2 shows we recorded, I do remember a couple of picks, but a lot of times, I'm doing the editing beforehand. I'm like, I don't remember anyone's picks, but I remember a couple. Anyhow, so for those of you know, I'm a musician, or I play guitar. Okay, let's say I'm not. I play bass. But way back in the day, my very first band was a punk band.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because we couldn't play anything else. To be honest,
right. It's the do-it-yourself nature, yeah.
But we had the best name ever. Our band name was Satanic Beethoven. Nice. So I just want to, I want to give props out to Josh Powell, who played bass, and Chuck Hounsberry, who played drums. We talked about Chuck before. His chick. He got drum lessons from Phil, what's his face from AC/DC.
Phil Rudd, yeah.
Phil Rudd, yeah. And then Brady Pedersen on vocals, and me on guitar. We played shit like Husker Du, the Meatmen,
nice,
Germs,
nice,
offensive stuff. Nice. I would never sing nowadays, but when you're 17, 16 years old and you got a chip on your shoulder, that's the shit you should listen to. That being said, I don't think my list is shocking to me at all. I have one that skirts kind of the rules, but not really, because when I even almost took it off my list today, but I was like, no, this is still punk. Is it more popular punk? Yeah. Is it memorable punk? Does it have melody? Yeah, but the core is still punk. So that's my number 1. But anyway, my number 4 is as punk as it gets. It's I Don't Care About You by Fear.
Nice.
Wow.
I love Fear just because they've got 3-4 albums, but their first album, The Record, which the name of the record is called The Record, just is Lee Ving, who does all the writing. He's the singer. He's fucking crazy. He lives the music. He's still that way. He's still alive. The song comes at 1:59, so your traditional punk length of a song, right? It's the 4th track off their first album, The Record, written by Lee Ving, Fear's frontman and primary songwriter. The album has been regarded as Fear's best album. It came out in 1981. They even went as far as in 2012, they re-recorded the album. So, which was the same time when Lee Ving and Fear were on Dave Grohl's documentary. The original Fear lineup existed from 1978 to 1982. It was comprised of Lee Ving, guitarist Phil Kramer, bassist Durf Scratch, and drummer Spit Sticks. In fact, in 1982, for a brief time, Red Hot Chili Peppers bassist Flea was a member of the band.
Nice.
The band has been active every year, still is, since 1977.
That's awesome.
Never broken up, never got together for a reunion. Just still together, still playing, doing their thing. Since it's punk, and I don't know if you guys probably ran on this too, not a lot of notes anywhere. Yeah. I looked everywhere for stuff. And this song is one of their more popular songs. It's not their most popular song, but nothing. I looked for videos, no one really talking about it, So so I grabbed some lyrics from these songs because that's really what makes punk, right? So the lyrics I chose were from the song, I've Seen Hollywood Boulevard, Welfare Hotel, I spent the night in jail at the Wilcox Hotel. I don't care about you. Fuck you. I don't care about you. So that's it. That's just the entire song. But that's my number 4. I Don't Care About You by Fear.
That's a good pick.
Like I said, they're one of the fundamental bands in the early 80s for punk. So, and like I said, this album is kind of legendary and, by far and away their best album.
One thing I learned about doing this list is I do not know as much old school punk as I thought I did. I don't know
too.
this song.
Same here.
Oh, same here.
Like,
Holy shit.
that is why I skirted the rules and picked something that isn't maybe not, in the right time frame, because it's just the way my taste went. And I did a huge list and I was trying to get into it, and it just was, there's so much.
So much.
It really is.
Passed me by, or I never clammed onto back in the day.
And I was late to the punk party. I'm going to admit, like, it was well into the 80s when I discovered some punk, but
Yeah, me too.
that'll come up on my list.
Well, growing up, I was a huge thrash metal fan, and they have some roots in punk as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
a lot of the musicians of the bands I was following wore the gear of a lot of the bands that we're
Right.
talking about now. And the only reason I knew of Fear is because Gary Holt from Exodus used to wear a Fear t-shirt all the time.
Yeah.
So 16, 15-year-old Jimmy did a little diving, what little diving you could pre-internet.
Right.
There were a couple friends that had, couple tapes or, mostly tapes back then.
Yeah.
So, you'd get a little snippets here and there wherever you were, but I'm kind of relatively vaguely familiar with Fear.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to happen because, like even Chris was saying, like there's so many bands in the genre, right?
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're like really drenched in the genre and you just know it through and through, there's a lot to dig through, which is great. Because like I said, I like to say I'm a punk guy. I mean, I grew up, I love punk. I played it. I still listen to it. But yeah, there's still a lot of stuff out there, and very little is written about the songs. It's mainly about normally most of the stories are about the lead singer in every punk band, right? Just about
records of some sort.
yeah.
When you said Fear, I thought of Alyssa Milano, Reese Witherspoon, and the dogs dance through the doggy.
Marky Mark did a great
Marky
job.
Mark, right?
One of those few good movies.
Anyway,
All right, so what do you got next, brother?
Okay, my number 3 is probably it's this band's most popular song. Again, it's a song we played in my band way back in the day. So we're literally one of the first songs I ever learned. My number 3 is from 1978. It's Lexicon Devil by Germs.
Okay.
All right.
The Germs classic lineup consisted of singer Darby Crash, formerly known as Bobby Pinn, guitarist Pat Smear, and bassist Lorna Doom, and drummer Don Boyles. The song was written by Darby and Pat Smear. If you don't know, Pat Smear has been for the last 30 years a guitarist for the Foo Fighters.
Yeah,
One of the 3 guitarists of the Foo Fighters. I'm going to say I haven't gotten to it yet, but this band might have the best fucking note I've ever learned about anything ever. We've done this on 64 shows, and I literally figured I had double check and multi-source. I'm like, this is true. I'm like, I looked at my wife and go, can you believe this? Anyhow, that's just a little tease, if you will. I'm getting ahead of myself, but originally released Lexicon on the Lexicon Devil EP in 1978. That version is 144 long. Later re-released on their only studio album, GI. That version is 213 long, so a little bit longer. The song comes from their only studio album, GI, and GI for the album stands for Germs Incognito. The abrasive guitar riff is just chaotic. It's searing vocals of Darby Crash. This band they're imperfect. They're messy. It's punk is about as punk as you can get. They didn't care how well they played. They didn't care if they were in tune. It's kind of their, part of their sound, if you will.
Right. It's a part of the genre too, yeah.
Okay, so interesting fact of this album, and I double checked this. I sourced this in 3 different places. It's completely true. In April 1976, the band added member Dottie Danger on drums. That was after drummer Don Boyles left. Who was Dottie Danger, you ask, Joe? Well, she later became famous as the singer of the Go-Go's. That's right. We're talking Belinda Carlisle was the drummer for Germs.
Wow.
That's
Now, the
awesome.
interesting thing is she had the gig, she was the drummer, but right after she joined the band, after a few practices, she got mono for months, and then she ended up dropping out of the band. When I read that, I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
That's unreal.
And I've
There's
been a
a
fan
germs
germs forever.
kissing disease joke in there somewhere.
Exactly. The irony is not lost on me.
Just insert that right.
Now, Jimmy, as a drummer, did you even know that Belinda played the Skins? I didn't know that.
I did.
Okay.
I didn't know she played with the Germs. I knew that she had some stitches into
drumming.
funk,
Yeah.
but and drums. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
cool.
so I never knew that. I think it's cool. Like I said, she
really cool.
did a few practices with him before she got sick, but she never played a live gig with him and ended up getting replaced anyhow.
Yeah.
So anyhow, so if you're going to do something in your life, don't do it on December 7th. Okay. Number one, Pearl Harbor happened in 1941.
Right. That's why I laughed.
But singer Darby Crash died by suicide via heroin overdose on purpose on December 7th, 1980. What is that day? That was the same day that John Lennon was.
It's John Lennon.
Oh, wow.
Mark David Chapman. So yeah, so it's always been said his death got overshadowed. Now, was he as big as a Beatle? No, but it was a blip. The girlfriend he had, she survived. They were going to do a heroin overdose. Both were to intend to end their lives. She survived. He did not. So apparently, it's something he'd been planning for a long time. He wanted to be famous, and then he thought he wasn't famous enough, and some sources thought that this is what he wanted to become more famous after death, and this would do it.
Didn't
Well,
really
then
do it.
the same day that John was murdered.
Right. Oh yeah, and the news like, and this other guy died too.
The lyrics I picked from this song. One more thing. The band was active from 1976 to 1980, and then reuniting twice, 2005 to 2009, and then once for a couple of shows in 2013.
Nice.
Did Pat play with them?
Yep. The lyrics I picked from the song was, I want toy tin soldiers that can push and shave. I want toy gun rovers that will wreck this club. I will build you up and level your heads. We'll run it my way. Cold men, politics dead. So, yeah.
There wasn't a lot of rhyme scheme to that.
No. And if you actually look at Germ's lyrics, there's no rhyming.
Okay.
Literally just, he's just saying his mind. They would also, if you can obviously tell by the single here, it's a picture of Adolf Hitler. They would use Nazi propaganda imaging. There's even a more offensive cover of this that shows Pat Smear as a 1920s style caricature of a black person, if you will, among other offensive things that I wasn't going to show on here. Obviously, the record company IRS didn't like it, and so they settled on this one, which is Hitler waving a flag. So this is the least offensive. Again, like every other punk band, not Nazis, but they use the symbology to garner controversy, if you will.
Right.
And, that's my number 3, Lexicon Devil by Germs, 1978.
Well,
Wow.
that's a good pick. I listened to a bunch of Germs, and they didn't crack my list, but I considered a few of their songs. Really out there, really, like you said, with the no rhyming and this whole genre of music is chaotic anyway. But they are kind of just like no pattern, just get out there and jam. You know what I mean? Like go crazy.
Yeah. And like I said, they purposely go before gigs and not even really tune. They just play. So,
Right. Yeah. And out of tune.
I was familiar with the band through Pat Smear. So
Yeah. Same here.
I'm not that shocked that you would have picked the Germs because you're a huge Pat Smear Nirvana, Pat Smear Foo Fighters. Pat
Yeah,
Smear,
and like I
Pat
said, one of
Smear.
the first songs I ever learned on guitar. So way back in the day.
It was a bit much for me that I just couldn't get into the Germs.
Yeah,
It's tough, right?
like I said, they're not an easy band to get into because either you really like them or you're like, and what the hell is this?
This is what I would call you're like hardcore into punk.
Yeah.
And again, not much on the song really itself. That's why you've noticed I had a bunch of stuff really on the band itself because there's nothing on the song. Even though the song was like, this song has been on, I think it was on Star Trek, the Star Trek 4. It's been on a bunch of shows. It's by far and away their most famous song. And there's no information on the song. So
Yeah.
all right. Number 2 is by far and away my most popular song on my list. It is, let's just get over with. It's from 1979. It's The Clash. It is London Calling.
Nice.
Nice.
In some ways, I'll just say right now, we haven't done it in a while. Basic Bitch.
Ramsey?
Oh,
Yeah, samey.
Oh, number 1. Dinner for one.
there we go. So yeah, a basic bitch of a song, but you know what? Why I kept on listening to my playlist, my punk
Classic.
playlist. It just kept on coming up every. In fact, a couple of songs off this, obviously on this album. This album is very, very good. And this song is just it's kind of the poster child, right, for popular punk.
Absolutely. Especially
People that don't know punk know this song,
this
right?
song.
Yeah.
They know the Clash. They know that, right?
Even if they don't know who sings it, they know this song, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, Johnny Rotten, but you know, well.
Right.
What I like about the Clash, I mean, of most of this music that I did research, I was the most through and through familiar with the Clash. I had, a bunch of their stuff growing up. They were the most easy to digest and were probably the least likely to be punk, but they were absolute punk with their attitude and their political lyrics and their satire of governments. Yeah.
No, and by far and away, like I said, the most popular punk band I think of all time. I mean, I'll get into here in a little bit, but it's got to be one of the most famous album covers of all time, correct? I mean, let's get into it. London Calling became the anthem of the transcended punk, became popular music. Even the cover of the parent album, bassist Paul Simon smashing his Fender Precision bass resides now in the Museum of London. Penny Smith, who took the picture, hated the photo because it's out of focus. And their band manager was like, no, this is the album cover right here.
Right.
That's what makes it art.
Yeah. So like I said, Penny Smith's cover photo of the bass smashing was named the greatest rock photograph ever taken by Q Magazine in 2002.
Wow.
Single was released, an album released in December 7th, 1979. There's December 7th again. In the UK, February 1980 in the US. The song is pretty long for a punk song. It's 3 minutes, 20 seconds long. It hit number 27 on Billboard 200 and number 9 in the UK, which obviously these guys are just icons, right? And number 12 in Canada. It sold upon release. It sold soon after it was released over 2 million copies.
Crazy, right?
Crazy. Rolling Stone ranks it as its number 1 on their 2003 list of their 500 greatest albums of all time. Number 1.
Wow.
The title is actually taken from the BBC World Service Station identification. They go on to World War II and say this is London Calling, which was used during World War II, especially in occupied countries. So people will be listening for that. The lyrics also reflect the Clash's own desperate situation in 1979 where the band was in deep debt. They had no management. They were fighting with the record label, which was CBS, over whether London Calling should be a single album or a double album. The lines, "Don't look to us, phony Beatlemania has bitten the dust," speaks to the band's anxieties about their future in the UK punk, which the boom had really kind of fizzled after 1977. So
Yeah.
I basically was just reading along with my notes.
Yeah, yours got nothing.
Something there.
again,
Not even a fucking morsel.
I won't go on much more. Guys, I know you have the song too, but it by far everyone knows this song.
Please do, because that was the end of my notes.
Yep.
I only read lyrics because I just kind of read lyrics from that part. But yeah, I guess it can't get a more iconic song, or iconic album cover. So there you go. Clash, London Calling.
The only band that mattered.
Yeah.
Right. They were billed at one point as the only band that matters. Right. Yep. That's the only thing I had left in my notes. So.
Jimmy?
Well, I love this pick so much because, again, it's an iconic album. It's an iconic album cover. We talked in the past about music played at parties. And when I would go to my metal friends' parties, this album was played quite a bit, outside of, Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, yada, yada. But this album was integral to, my growing up, my musical adolescence.
Not really where I grew up. Ironically enough, I guess, whatever you want to say, but I kind of found it by mistake, I think, through one of my brothers. Because this was no one that I know of was, at least when I was, until I got in high school, really listened to punk at all that I knew of. So
it was late 80s for me, and another band which is going to be in my list that we haven't talked about got me into going back and discovering punk. And this is what caught my fucking ear right away.
And Jimmy said before, the album is so accessible that
yes,
it's easy
even then.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was a Columbia House cassette, but yes.
Absolutely.
And that being said, the album still holds up to this day.
Absolutely.
When I was going through songs, I just kept on letting this whole album play. It's a great
bands
album.
And artists today still talk about it being an influence for them, right?
Yeah.
Right. And another cool little note just about the band, The Clash, is they broke up and they several of the members formed Big Audio Dynamite.
Big Audio Dynamite
was like mainstream MTV everywhere, and this was like early 90s down at the Globe. My wife loves that song. I cannot find that album, so if you have it around, send it to me, please. Big Audio Dynamite, that'd be awesome. They had big BAD 1 and BAD 2.
Yeah. You can't find that anywhere. Damn.
It's a coveted album, limited press.
Really?
Yep.
I hate that.
And that brought people, and when we were in high school, that people that liked Big Audio Dynamite, that brought people back to the Clash that missed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. You guys were in the Clash. I'm like, yeah, I know.
And why they told you? Because they just found out 10 minutes before you. They you. Okay, that brings me to my number one. I knew this band was be represented because the old Minnesota thing. I love this band. I love everything about their lead singer. But I'm talking, of course, of Minneapolis's own, or I should say, technically St. Paul's own, Husker Du. This is my newest song. It's on the very edge. This is from 1986, and this is "Don't Want to Know If You Are Lonely." This is by far and away Husker Du's probably number one favorite. I mean, most popular song they've ever had. It was on the radio everywhere. But I love this band so much. It's such a good album too. Candy Apple Grey it's their first mainstream album on Warner Brothers. Before that, they were on SST, like a lot of punk bands were. Okay, so there was it was released February 10th, 1986, not December 7th. It was the second track from their fifth studio album, Candy Apple Grey. It's the longest song on my list. It's 3 minutes and 30 seconds long. So, it's the first, like I said, it's their first album on a major label, which is they moved to Warner Brothers from SST when Warner Brothers bought their contract from the smaller label. The song is written by Grant Hart, who was the drummer and part-time. They had vocalist for Husker Du. He was singing this song. So, the album marked more of a melodic, introspective direction, which again they started having melody in their music. And Husker Du, even their earlier stuff, a lot of stuff again didn't rhyme. A lot more punk. It was way more accessible than say Fear or Germs, right? But now they started finding vocal melody, right? Like I said, Husker Du was born in St. Paul, Minnesota, 1979. Core members were Bob Mould. I love Bob Mould to death. He's just a gem.
I believe he's a literal genius.
Yes. He's which he will never say, but people always say no. He's literally really fucking smart, man.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, Bob Mould. I love everything that Bob has touched. Whether it was Sugar, he headed that band. Obviously, his solo stuff. He did some stuff with the Foo Fighters. A couple songs we co-sung with Dave Grohl. Great stuff. But anyhow, core members Bob Mould, guitar and vocals. Grant Hart, vocals and drums, and then Greg Norton, who played bass. They broke up in 1988. Never got back together.
Oh, I thought they had a reunion once.
Nope. Sugar got back together.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's my number one. Don't Want to Know If You're Lonely by Husker Du.
Well, I have, I guess, a question and a comment. Growing up in Minnesota, we all knew as musicians who Husker Du was. It was you knew. It was kind of in our blood. It was everywhere for us. Did you guys had you heard of or have you heard of Husker Du before?
Yeah, but probably later, much later.
Yeah,
obviously.
And that was because like I said, I got into punk late. Right,
yeah,
to the
I didn't know who they were.
But never really. I didn't really listen to them, but I have heard of them.
And how about Bob Mould?
No.
No.
Sure. Yeah, there's a couple songs. I don't know if you I guarantee you, if you listen to this song, you're like, oh, that song, because this song had it had a resurgence when grunge became bigger in the early '90s, right? This song can have a resurgence. So this entire element,
there's tons of songs out there like that, right? Yeah, for sure. I probably would. You're right. I would probably know one.
Yeah, I think they might have had a soundtrack song too. That
they've had. Yeah, they have. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, didn't they do something on? What was that? Judgment Night? Didn't they have a?
If they were on Judgment Night, I had the soundtrack, so for sure I would have heard that.
Might have been
but I just don't remember it.
Or
I want to say they did something with Husker Du.
The other one?
Biohazard, Husker Du. Because I could be wrong. I could be way wrong. But
Husker Du, Saving Miss Tingsley, or might have been that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Shooting Miss Tingsley or killing Miss Tingsley.
Yeah. Well,
Driving Miss Daisy.
Driving Miss Tingsley.
Right. Bob Mould is a staple in the history, the storied history of Minneapolis music, and part of the beginning of the Minneapolis sound, which later turned into, as we've talked about with Joe and Prince, that turned into the other Minneapolis sound.
Yep. With you had the Replacements, Soul Asylum, right, and you had Suburbs. Suburbs weren't as big, but the Suburbs had a very big cult following in Minnesota. Not very big nationally, but it was really those four bands that were the big alternative bands coming out of Minnesota. That were kind of, I don't want to say kind of Seattle before Seattle, but they're probably the last real big rock bands to come out of Minnesota since then, right? So those four bands. Yeah, so that's my picks. That's all I got. So let's see how I'm wrong. And Dink, tell me how I'm wrong.
Well, you're not wrong.
Look at that guy.
I'm probably wrong.
I love that list, Joe.
Thank you. Fun. A lot of fun.
So I don't have a disclaimer. Well, I guess I do.
We know you do.
How can I not? I left the Clash off. Everything you guys said about the Clash and that's why I wanted to jump in with Big Audio Dynamite. So I'm glad you even said that. Is relative to me with metal friends. Listen to the Clash, and they are the punk band that I know the best. They are a band that I would do a full show on. So, and I thought they're all kind of basic to me, and it's no pick, or both your picks, I guess, is the same. So I was just like, I'm just gonna not touch them, which like every other time I leave somebody off, it gives me free reign to get other people in there. So no Clash. So I'll just roll into it. And I will say this, same as we've kind of mentioned, it was a harder, deeper dive for me because it is not a genre that I go to. It is chaotic music to me, and I think I learned amongst learning what I liked and didn't like. I was like, holy shit, a lot of this is noise. And I get that is the whole point.
That's the point. That's the whole point.
But I think I like a little more structure, and that's probably why I don't flock to it. And that's not to take away from how good some of it is, and you can find the gems, but the stuff that all starts to sound the same, and I start to sound like an old man off my lawn, I'm like, holy shit, a lot of this starts to sound like just racket. And I know that's exactly what they're trying to do, but it's just not all for me, right? But everybody has their own ears, and you like what you like. So we've said it many times on the show. Now, that's not to say there wasn't some songs that I thought of immediately outside of the Clash that I thought, oh, that's probably going to be on my list. And then, of course, like all lists, that doesn't make it because you find something else. You're like, oh, I forgot about this, and blah, blah, blah. So I will move on to my number 4. My number 4 is Neat, Neat, Neat by The Damned.
Nice.
Yeah. So that is a 1977 single from their debut album titled Damn, Damn, Damn. Of course, they're a UK band. They were in the first wave of British punk bands with the Sex Pistols and the Clash. And they were actually the first UK band to release a full album this debut in February of 77. And this song helped define that fast, chaotic, stripped down punk sound. So everything I just said, you can kind of throw out the window because this kind of has it, right? But right. I like it, right? And I'd heard it before, but the more I listen to it, I'm like, oh, this is gonna make my list. It's distinctive. It's almost got a surf rock style kind of with the bass intro. And the bass is Captain Sensible. And yes, that is his stage name, Captain Sensible. That's another thing. Because you mentioned some of the guys. I was laughing when I was doing my notes. Like, it's some of the band members' names, right? Yeah. Just great. And I'll get into a few more on some of the picks I have here. Because it's hilarious shit.
Don't forget the drummer Rat Scabies.
Oh, Rat Scabies is coming up.
Rat.
Right, but anyway, the song explodes after that bass intro to the raw, high-speed, just classic punk sound, buzzsaw guitars, pounding drums, sneering vocals. And the band, like you said, Rat Scabies on the drums, Captain Sensible on the bass, Brian James on guitar. Like, no, he couldn't think of anything. Right. And Brian James is their primary songwriter, and then Dave Vanian, who is the vocalist. And he had that gothic kind of tone, right? Which I think that's what I like more than the chaotic screaming. But whatever. I had a cool point here that while bands like the Pistols and Clash got more headlines, these guys were actually the first to do almost everything. They were the first to have a single, a first album, first US tour. And actually their first song before this, New Rose, was big too, right? And it was covered by GNR on the album that we don't like to talk about because of Hair of the Dog. But it was on the Spaghetti Incident. But yeah, before punk got really serious and political, The Damned was there. They're an original, right? And they were fast and loose and fun with still a similar sound. But anyway, that's my number 4.
No, I like this pick as it makes sense that you picked this because they are a lot more accessible, like we were talking about the Clash, right?
Yeah.
But they're also they're literally a fun band.
Right.
They're not political in any really fashion at all, Yeah. They're just they're almost like a band. Whenever I listen to them, it's almost like a band who's just doing shit to have fun,
Right. And that's kind of how I thought. Like when I was like, this song's got to be like I said, it kept moving up the list. I'm like, I'm putting this song on because I like this song, and it isn't the stuff that I don't like. So, and I hate saying I don't like because I can listen to anything. Shit, I just went to a concert that was country. Anyway,
I gotta be honest, I don't know this, so I can't really.
I think you'll like it, Chris. I think because you and I have some similar tastes.
Well, it's funny you said when you said the structure part that stuck to mind. You'll notice I think all of my songs have a structure. All the songs that I picked have a structure.
Right.
Punk, right. I'm with you on that. So I just for some, like I said before, there's so much that I hadn't heard before that I miss so much.
Yeah, when you said about when Joe was talking about the Germs and you said that you had a hard time And I'm like, yeah, because you and I are probably thinking we were liking similar punk.
Me three. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, real quick, what was you said Brian something?
Brian James.
Brian James, his real name is probably like Chester Bjorn Fjorgensen IV. So he said, okay, I'm going to go Brian James.
You're going Rat Scabies? I'll go Brian James.
I was going to say Brian James. Well, technically, my real name is Rat Scabies.
Right. We'll just trade.
Just trade names.
Right.
Me, I'm Brian James.
Yeah, you're right. I'll be Rat. Yeah, that's cool. All right. My number three. My number three was going to be on this list. I like this song. I've always liked this song. And it is clearly a punk song, a pretty well-known punk song because it's been covered many times. I'll get into that later in the notes. But this is Sonic Reducer by Dead Boys. Came out in 77 on Young, Loud, and Snotty debut. Anytime you can get Snotty on your album art is cool. But they're from Cleveland, but they were really part of the New York sound.
Yeah,
even though they're
actually from New York, to be honest with you. Sorry,
no, they're from Cleveland. But yeah, so they were produced by Jenya Ravon, who will be 86 a couple days after this show is released. But she was a female producer, which was kind of unheard of back then.
Yeah.
A well-known female producer. So I thought that was kind of cool because of its rarity. But yeah, they have the definitive American punk sound, right? Yeah. And they were right there with the early Ramones stuff, and they helped bridge the gap between the stuff you were talking about in the intro, which is the proto-punk with the Stooges and MC5, into the late 70s stuff. I was almost said shit, into the late 70s stuff that was this, right? Yeah. But yeah, there's just something about this song. I like the guitar riff. And I think it's so many bands have covered it, and I've heard this song so much. I love the original. But Pearl Jam's covered it live. I think Bad Religion's covered it.
Okay.
Who else has covered it? I might have even wrote it down. Maybe not. Doesn't matter. But yeah, some other bands have covered it, and I think, like I said, that's how it came to me back in the day, or whenever I heard those covers, and then I went to the original. I'm like, oh, the original's awesome, right? And like I said, with them bridging the gap and being on that New York scene, they were huge in the CBGB scene,
New York scene,
Talking Heads and Blondie and all that shit, right? Patti Smith.
That's why I thought they were always a New York band.
Yeah, and I think that's maybe why when I started looking it up, it was like in big letters that they are from Cleveland, and I was like, well, who cares? Oh, because maybe everybody thinks they're from New York because they were such a staple in the New York scene, right? Stiv Bators is the front man, and he's known to be a maniac. So another weird name, Stiv Bators, but that might be his real name. Known for his self-destructive ways. He used to knock himself out with the mic stand.
On purpose?
Like on purpose. Like so punk, right? And I saw a quote that said, if punk ever had a human crash dummy, it was Stiv Bators. And I was like, well, I'm writing that down.
That might be a better note than my Belinda Carlisle note.
And I do have it. Okay, so it was covered by Pearl Jam. It was sampled. Go back and watch our episode. It was sampled in 2 Beastie Boys songs. The Beastie Boys love the Dead.
They started punk.
Right.
Yeah.
It was sampled in an open letter to NYC and Jimmy James, Beastie Boys songs. So, but anyway, that's my number 3.
And I kind of like the Belinda Carlisle note that I found noted with my pick earlier. I told my wife again, I said, this is the stuff I love, is learning, like, I've always just assumed they were a New York band. I'm like, oh, okay. And then
you thought so too, Jimmy?
Cleveland? Okay. Whatever. Great pick, though.
I raised my finger because I was going to say, as soon as you said that, I smiled and nodded my head. I have no idea who these guys. I want to put that out there. That I was like excited for this pick. Like I knew who they were. No, they didn't hit my 50 to 70 songs. This is a new name to me, but the name Sonic Reducer sounded familiar. And as soon as you said Pearl Jam, I'm like, that's probably how I know the name. So
the song
that's my disclaimer Probably happened 3 or 4 more times this episode, but I was like, yeah.
I was like, oh, you like this song too? Then
I have no idea.
I don't know this song.
Jimmy knows the Overkill version.
Right.
Yeah, Overkill. Yeah, Overkill Saves the Day. I think covered it. Like a bunch of bands have covered it, right? So yeah, that's funny. Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know.
Totally thought you knew the song.
Oh yeah, they're from New York. Oh Cleveland. Oh well, I don't even know that. Oh, that's great.
I do have a note on that though. There's a reason why a lot of bands got flagged as New York bands because there was so little places for them to play.
Yeah.
So they got famous or known in all the like CBGBs.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry. For being there all the time that
The New
people
York
just
scene.
assumed that they were local boys.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. And there clearly wasn't a Cleveland scene, so maybe we should go to New York. Right?
Have you been to Cleveland?
Anyway,
Nice.
Number two was a find. Like I knew this band, but I did not know this song, and it made number 2. Like I like this song a lot. It is typical punk. It's like 2 minutes long. This song is "Police Truck" by Dead Kennedys.
Ooh.
Came out in '80 on Fresh Fruit for Rotting Vegetables. Cool album title.
Yeah.
They're not from Cleveland. They're from San Francisco.
Yes.
So when I think punk, I think San Francisco.
And one of the most recognizable band logos of all time.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and Police Truck is a defining song of hardcore punk's early wave in '80, right?
Yeah.
The song was written from the perspective of a corrupt, abusive cop. Dark satire, lyrics brag about violence, power trips, and abuse of authority. I have some lyrics here which I have to read because they're great. But first, the fast, aggressive surf punk guitar feel. So again, I like that surfy kind of punk feel, and maybe that's a cleaner feel. I don't know.
West Coast punk.
Yeah, like it's got a bit of a twang. It's I don't know. And then the vocals are Jello. That's his name. Jello Biafra. And they're sarcastic, sneering. And the other band members are East Bay Ray on guitar.
Yeah.
Klaus Fluoride on bass. And on drums on this track was Ted.
I'm very familiar with
The
Ted.
bear? The teddy bear?
Ted.
I was like, come on, Ted. Oh, shit. But anyway, Jello, it wasn't just a singer. He ran for mayor of San Francisco in '79, and his slogan was, "There's always room for Jello."
Yeah.
I did know that one.
Yep.
Right. So he's like a big time political activist, and it fits the band's whole vibe. Right. So I'm going to, and this song got a huge resurgence from Tony Hawk's video game because it was on there. And Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. So that really helped the song. But I have here the last 2 verses. Pull down your dress. Here's a kick in the ass. Let's beat you blue till you shit your pants. Don't move, child. Got a big black stick. There's 6 of us, babe, so suck on my dick. That's verse 4. Verse 5 is the left newspapers might whine a bit, but the guy at the station, they don't give a shit. Dispatch calls, are you doing something wicked? No, siree, Jack, we're just giving tickets. Right? So it's a real shot at the cops, right?
And media.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I laughed. I was like, oh, anytime you can get Ted in there and suck my dick, it works for me.
And there's always room for Jello.
And there's always room for Jello. Well, not at Bill's house, but you know.
Stay away from those pudding pops.
Right. But anyway, that's my number 2, Police Truck.
This is a good album, man. It's the same album as Holiday in Cambodia, which is,
Yes.
I think they're probably most popular song, right? So
That made my short list.
And that might have been how I knew them, right? But I was like, oh, I don't know this song. And then, you start going down a rabbit hole. You forget all the other songs and you're only listening to Dead Kennedys. It's happened on other episodes. And before you know it, you're only listening to Leo Sayer. I was like, Jesus.
That never happens.
Burt Bacharach.
Right. Well, I'm still listening to Yacht Rock 24/7, and that's been a year.
Well, you married Yacht Rock. So.
I married into that curse. Well, you mentioned I mentioned earlier about how I know that other artist. I know of Dead Kennedys by way of Dave Mustaine. He had the sticker on his Charvel Flying V, and that made everyone, what is that? What is that? And he talked in a interview of some. This is previous to him saying he wrote everything in Metallica. Dead Kennedys were such a huge influence to him. So we, as young dumb shits, ran out and bought all these, Dead Kennedys things, and we're like, oh, this is different than we thought it was going to be.
Right.
Yeah, that's how I know of Dead Kennedys. And my middle kid, Maddox, loves DK.
Nice.
Yeah, they literally are timeless. Awesome. I mean, like you said, not like Maddox. There's every new generation. Dead Kennedys are still around, still popular.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And when you're scrolling through those lists or you're doing dives into punk, so if you didn't know certain songs or albums, certain artists jump out right away. You're like, oh, I know these guys. And then you listen to them, you're like, oh, I kind of do. Oh, or there was, I don't know these guys at all, but I knew the name. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. That happened a lot.
That's what they sound like? Jesus.
Yeah, that happened a lot for me.
Right. Yeah. Right. But if you like punk or say really like punk, it would have been but then you would have known them all. But say you didn't, right? It would have been all kinds of great new finds, right? So for me, it was a little more selective.
Right.
All right. Number one is CanCon. I forgot to mention that in our pre-show stuff. I asked Chris if he had any Canadian, but it is Teenage Head. Let's Shake.
Nice.
Their biggest song. I don't know. I did it crack for you guys? Do you guys know this song?
I did not know this song. No.
Okay, so they're a Hamilton, Ontario band. This came out in '80 from the album Frantic City. I would say it's one of their best known songs. I think it's their best known song. A staple of the Canadian punk scene, which I don't know if that was huge.
It was. Toronto was a hub.
Was it? Okay. So there you go. That shows how much I wasn't into it. But I love this song and I know this band, obviously. It blends punk with kind of 50s rock and roll or garage rock. It's got like a garage rock, classic rock almost energy, but it is punk, right? Kind of a cool groove, catchy, upbeat, danceable. It feels like the Ramones meet Elvis, I read somewhere. I was like, oh, well, that's actually kind of interesting. I will write that down because I wouldn't have thought of that. It does feel like the Ramones meet something. I wouldn't have thrown Elvis in there, but anytime we can throw Elvis in after it says fits that live sweaty club energy. I'm like, well, the sweat's probably Elvis. Another fun little thing, their frontman, and maybe this is just a thing for punk, obviously, was also a madman. Pure chaos and charisma on stage, known for his out-of-control performance. I don't think he knocked himself out, but I think he was a wild man. And I also read somewhere online when people were like huge Teenage Head fans, if punk has had a showman, Frankie Venom was the man. And I was thinking, okay, maybe for Canada, but if you guys say there was a whole scene here, there must have been a whole scene here. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of it. That's my number one. I don't really have anything more about just a bunch of Canadian mumbo jumbo. Sadly, we lost the guitarist in 2022, so that was a huge loss for Canadian music alone, not just punk. But yeah, that's my number one, and that's my list.
So there's one advantage of getting your guys' picks now a half hour before we record all these things is I actually will just throw it quickly in my iTunes or my Apple Music and I'll listen to it. So right when you said 50s, when I heard the song, I was like, this is like punk meets 50s music. It was let's shake. Cool. I never heard it. Let's shake. It totally had a 50s groove to it, but a little angrier.
That's a Ramon type. Like,
Yeah.
style.
It's very Ramones, right?
Yes, agreed. When you said that, it was just
I don't know the song though. I didn't know the song until we did this list. I just didn't really jive with it.
Yeah, and you could say, and I didn't say it in my disclaimer, but now that we're saying the Ramones, I guess I left the Ramones off too, because they were considered after I said, okay, I'm not going to do the Clash. Well, am I going to have any Ramones? Because I listened to the Ramones, and the Ramones was also a spillover from some of my metal friends were listening to the Ramones, but I left them off too. So I guess you can kind of include them because I didn't have them, but they just really didn't make the cuts.
And they had that 80s cult classic, was it 3 O'Clock High School or something like that? Where all of the songs from this B movie were the Ramones, and they all had cameos in it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I will pass it off to Chris.
All right. Well, that's a pretty good segue. I'll just go right into my list then, because I have. Disclaimer. This is the pick that kind of skirts the rules. This was 89. Was this song? Right, and it is a subgenre song. In fact, when I hesitated to pick it originally, because I'm like, is it really a punk song? And it is actually, technically, looking it up, it's a subgenre punk song. But I will argue that anything that the Ramones do, which it's the Ramones, is a punk song. Like "Merry Christmas, Baby, I Don't Want to Fight" is a punk song, right? Like,
Yeah.
right, because of the way they do it, right? The way Joey sings it. So, but this song was, and Dink, you'll get a kick of this. I had to antique it in because it's the song that kicked off me going to discover other punk music, and it is "Pet Cemetery" by the Ramones.
Oh
yeah.
From
the movie.
sorry. Yes, but it's from the album Brain Drain, which was the first Ramones album I bought, first punk album I kind of listened to, and it got me to go back and discover other ones. And I don't remember if I saw the movie first or heard the song first, but I really liked Stephen King, so there's a good chance it was because of that, because the only novels I ever really read were Stephen King novels. I wasn't really a big reader.
No.
I had a grade 8 teacher that read us Night Shift, the short stories book.
Nice.
Right.
Wow.
And that got a bunch of us into reading Stephen King stuff. So I always had an affection for that. And he was a fan of the Ramones. So anyways, the Ramones, punk band formed in New York City, Queens in 74. They're obviously legendary. They're originally Joey, Johnny, Dee Dee, and Tommy, and they adopted the pseudonyms Ramones. And they're inspired to that by Paul McCartney, who used the stage name Paul Ramon when the Beatles were still calling themselves the Silver Beatles, which I didn't know.
Yeah.
I did not know that either.
I had originally, actually, when I did the list, it was when you guys were talking, I noticed I hadn't actually put anything down about the band. So I just wrote that down, or did some quick research when you guys were doing your picks. Because everything I had was about the album or the song. So all the information I have is it's from Brain Drain, which is the 11th studio album by the band. Released May 23rd, 1989, and it was the last to feature bassist, songwriter, vocalist Dee Dee Ramone. In fact, he didn't actually even play on the album, apparently. He wrote a lot of the music. He wrote this song. And there's a story about it that said apparently Stephen King had the band out for dinner and then back to his place because he was a big fan of theirs. And he gave Dee Dee a copy of the book. Dee Dee went in the basement, and about an hour later came up with the song pretty much done.
Wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
That is awesome. So
there was
Stephen King.
I did check to make sure that that is a true story, but they basically, members of the band, there's a couple of things that the band said that they had dinner at Stephen King's house, and Stephen King said, no, we went out for dinner first, and then we went back to my house. That was the only difference that I could find when I was seeing that. see if it was real or not.
They were all high. No one knew what was going on.
Right.
Absolutely. Right. There's some stories.
Yeah.
So the subgenre is horror punk, which I never knew was a thing, but like bands like the Misfits, and I'm not a real big fan of punk, like I said, but like I said, I antiqued it in because it's the song that kicked me off to go discover the Clash and the Misfits and Minor Threat and all these other bands, right?
Right.
Anyways, that's my number 4. And it's from, like we said, the movie, and the video is them in a cemetery, and it was actually filmed in Sleepy Hollow Cemetery. Also, it was the highest charting song for them. It was number 4 on alternative songs, number 6 on US New Rock, and number 9 US Postmodern, which is really high for
in their entire catalog. It's the highest one. Wow.
Yeah, that's shocking.
Yeah.
I would have thought Rock and Roll High School, or Let's Get Sedated, or Let's Be.
I Want to Be Sedated. Right. Yeah.
Or
I actually like that movie.
Yeah, I do too.
People shit on it, but I'm like, I thought it was good. Like,
I'm not a big horror movie fan, but I have anything that has to do with Stephen King perks my interest, right?
Right, and some movies are not as, obviously the book is always better, but
right,
some are great adaptations of the book, and some are, I think, okay. Like,
and that's one of the ones that I always find, if I read the book first and then saw the movie, I tend to not like the movie. That's one of the ones where it was the other way.
That makes sense.
So I kind of like the movie first, and then I read the book after the fact. So,
I agree.
Well, yeah, you bring up the movie or talk about the movie. That movie taught me a very valuable lesson that I still do this to this day. When crossing a road, I look both ways multiple times. Yeah. I'm not getting hit by a semi.
Right? Yeah.
I'm not lying. That
scene is dramatic. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right. I think every time I am on a country road or something, I see a fucking semi, I think of that scene. Honestly, I can just be driving the other direction and I fucking see a kid running across the field. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah, that movie is
stay back, kid. Stay back.
Gage, get back.
Anyways.
Good pick. I'm not surprised the Ramones are on this list in any form or fashion. I think, and as you alluded to, I think the Ramones are a lot of people's entry into punk. Whether it's just, they just like the Ramones and then we're on another band, but I think a lot of people have found punk through the Ramones.
And that's why I think 89 is when I discovered them. And that's why most of my punk listening was in the 90s.
And newer. Yeah. Makes sense.
Right. And newer.
Right.
Because again, they had a resurgence in the 90s too.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Great pick.
Right.
Nice.
So number 3 is my basic bitch, I suppose. But I like there's something about this band. They're especially the singer's attitude rubs me the wrong way, but there's something about it. It's punk and he doesn't really give a fuck. But it's the Sex Pistols, Anarchy in the UK.
Good song.
Yeah.
Again, you can call it like, if I just had this and 3 Clash songs, like Ding said, you'd be like, yeah, he don't listen to punk. Well, I don't really listen to punk, but this song jumped out to me. Back in the day, right? Like, and again, it's one of those bands that transcends the genre. People know who the Sex Pistols are. They probably know at least a line or two from this song, right?
Yeah.
People that don't even like punk will sing along with it. But yeah. From the album Nevermind the Bollocks, here's the Sex Pistols, their only studio album, released on October 28th, 1977. Bass guitarist Glenn Matlock left the band early in the recording process, leading to the famous or infamous Sid Vicious joining the band. And he was such a bad bass player that he only appeared on 2 songs. The guitarist actually played bass on the rest of the songs on the album. They basically just hired him as like that. Like he was the loose cannon in the band. He was the wild one, but had absolutely no talent. In fact, a lot of the times, they said live that they'd turn his his speakers off. They just
you're too
or
shitty for
or
punk.
right down.
Like,
Yeah, you right. Like, I think you or I could probably fucking spend a week learning bass and probably jump into a punk band. I could be like not a good one. I'm not saying that we would be,
right.
But
But we
like,
can do stuff.
Where were you?
but
when
I can learn like how to play bass, right? Like,
I was gonna say, where were
Right.
you when we were forming the Satanic Beethoven?
Right.
right.
Can you just play the E string the entire song? You're good.
Yeah. Exactly. I'll get 10.
Anyways, it's an iconic song. It was ranked number 56 in Rolling Stones magazine list of 500 greatest rock songs of all time. There's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's in their top 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. The line "I am an antichrist" and the second line was "I am an antichrist," anarchist.
Yep.
Johnny Rotten said that he was the only thing he could figure out to rhyme with it, that he's not really an anarchist. And I don't know, Dink, you remember when Molson did those blind date tours in the 90s?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So so Molson continues to use blind date things. They do and they did one, and the Sex Pistols were the band.
That's
and
awesome.
a girl I know that I worked with at the bar went, and she said he was exactly the way you wanted him to be. The first thing happened when there's a bunch of people fucking booed because they're not for everybody. And there was rumors it was going to be somebody big at the time, the Stones or somebody like that, or right. And it was them, and a bunch of people booed, and somebody fired a beer at him, and he ducked it, and he's like, "Keep it up. They already paid me. Thank you for the money. I can just fucking leave now." Something to that effect.
Right.
Right. And like he would do it too, right? Throw another beer and be like, "All right, fuck you," and just fucking go. And that'd be the most punk rock thing you could probably
throw it back at him.
But she's like, I remember her telling me, she's like, he was exactly the way I wanted him to be. He was a fucking punk rock asshole on stage. I'm like, "Oh, that's awesome. That's cool to hear."
Right. Yeah, it's such an attitude with the whole genre, right? Like,
Oh yeah.
Two things. Two
yeah,
things.
go ahead.
Did Justin Timberlake bring the bottles of pee and throw it at him?
maybe.
Don't know.
Number two is I know the Sex Pistols by way of Megadeth because it was on their third album, So Far So Good So What, a cover of this,
Yeah.
along with the video that was on Headbangers Ball in heavy rotation, and then later a lesser. What's that?
Motley Crue.
I was going to say a lesser good copy of on Decade of Decadence.
Right, Decade of Decadence. Yeah.
This did chart 38 UK singles in 1977.
Wow.
In 1992, it charted in Australia at 92 and UK singles again at 33.
I believe that was the year that Motley Crue came out with Decade of
right.
Decadence.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It coincides with the
right.
Anyways, that's my number 3.
No, it's a good pick. You notice I didn't have many charts on mine because I didn't see many.
They didn't have very many charts.
Yeah, there was this song. And
So you got one that charted, or you got two that charted. Oh, you're doing well.
That means I'm a basic bitch, though. And I
Well,
don't
maybe.
really like punk. He doesn't really know punk, man. He's picking albums. He's picking songs that charted. Fuck him. They're successful.
What were you going to say about charting just now?
Oh, I was going to say that's just punk in general. It was anti-establishment, right? And a lot of it was small label stuff. And back then, small label stuff wasn't going to get on the radio. It might get on college radio, but it wasn't going to get on mainstream radio.
Yeah,
because you had IRS records and SST were probably the biggest ones with pop acts, right? But I mean, and Johnny Rotten's one of those guys who is, everyone I think hates him because I don't think punks like him. I don't think the average person likes him. I don't think
he's a sellout to punks because he takes money, or he's not punk, or
he's not punk. He's not real. That's not. He's not real punk. Yeah.
So, but like for a punk rookie like me, they were fucking huge. That was
yes. I mean, and they had one album, and the one album is still a staple to this day. I mean,
well, and Sid Vicious became popular because of Sid and Nancy, and because of like the whole like him and his like drug addiction and suicide right.
Well, you talk about Johnny Rotten. Johnny Rotten wasn't that against the establishment because his band that came out after this, Public Image Limited, was in heavy rotation, and he loved cashing those checks.
Right.
He loved the dollar.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my number 3.
Yeah, great pick, man.
Nice.
Well,
I like this.
number 2 is where I just like completely ignored the rules.
It's a country band.
Morgan Wall.
No, just date wise. So
Dan Murray.
the band formed in 1988. So when I asked, and I asked, did you put a date? And I heard Dink say we didn't really put a date, and then I stopped listening apparently because this song was released in 1999.
Oh wow.
However, I'm going to argue that it is punk, and I really got into this band a little bit, especially their live album, which is I fucking think a must listen to. But it is Pennywise.
Okay.
And
Oh, yeah.
the song is Alien.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pennywise from California, Hermosa Beach, California, formed in '88. The band took its name from Stephen King's horror novel It, known as Pennywise.
Right.
Yep. Right. So another Stephen King connection for me. That's all I really wrote about the band. I didn't read a lot about that. There's some notes about the song. This band was big for me. They have the album Live at the Key Club. That live album is unreal. They do a cover of Minor Threat, but that's the version of this song that I really dig the most. It's the version of Bro Hymn that I like the most is on that.
Is it because it's more raw or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like they're punk, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But like Dink was talking about structure. Even the Sex Pistols, my bands obviously have structure, and I find their albums. I don't know that it's produced, but the singer sounds
Cleaner. Yeah.
cleaner. Yes, cleaner.
Oh, yeah.
And we've talked about it before, Joe. You've talked about it, the raw like imperfections. I dig that. I like that too. I love hearing I loved hearing Chester's vocals pop when he was live. You know what I mean? Like in Linkin Park. So and that's what I like about the Pennywise album. It sounds to me more true to their sound.
Sure, makes sense. Yeah, yep. Especially in the '90s, it's going to be a little maybe a little overproduced. You know, where live you get this.
Yeah, and that their live stuff is not. They even they're talking to the crowd. They're it's just fucking. They're pulling up people they know to sing with them and shit during the songs. Yeah, it's cool. The lyrics of the song, they focus on feelings of abuse or not fitting into modern life, often interpreted as feeling like an outsider or an alien in one's own environment, which is kind of big in 90s punk, right?
Yeah.
This I didn't know when I was doing research. Between 1991, which was their debut album, and 2005, Pennywise released an album every 2 years on Epitaph Records, which is owned by Bad Religion's guitarist Brett Gurewitz. They've released 12 studio albums and 1 live album, 2 EPs, and a DVD. The first 2 albums were really critically acclaimed, but they didn't get any international success till 95's release of their third studio album. Alien did chart and charted fairly well for them. Australia, 8 in Australia singles. Canada, the album was 17th. German albums 93. New Zealand albums 12. In the U.S. Billboard Top 200, the album was 62.
Wow.
Yeah.
So it was pretty popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember this
and I
song.
really like them. I do go back and listen to that live album. So when you said we were doing punk, that's why I asked about the date.
Yeah.
Because as soon as you said punk, I wanted to put Pennywise on it.
You now have a Bonham episode.
Yeah.
Or a Cars 1979 song in the 1980s new wave.
Right.
Or
Dan Fogelberg
there's
is
still
not-
more at number 89 for Billboard Top 40.
Yes.
All right, then I don't feel so bad.
Welcome to the club, Chris.
Right.
And real honestly, I didn't feel bad at all because I did it and I didn't have a back. No, and all honestly, I did not catch the. I said I was going to try and stay as early to the punk as I could, but I really like that band. I really like this song.
They had a song, and I don't know if it's this song, but it must not be because I can't remember the song. But they had a song that I really liked too in the 90s. You probably don't have it there in your notes, but when you said in 95 their third album, I don't know. They had a song in the 90s, but I was like, holy shit, I like
so
that.
I have all the route. Oh no, I don't. Fuck. I thought I had it pulled up. I don't. I have fuck.
Doesn't matter. But yeah, no, I think I like them too. I don't go to them. And I probably, if I heard that song, I'd be like, oh, I like this song. I forgot about this song. Because that happens with so much music.
I don't go to them. I go to that album.
Just that album. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
But
no, it's good pick.
Well, and my number one is the Clash, London Calling. So
Nice.
Right. Joe said all my notes.
Right. And was it Joe? Was it your number one too? So you both had it as number one? No, it was your number two.
No, it was two. Yeah.
Number two. Yeah.
Yeah, but for me, I had the same thing about the lyrics and stuff. But for me, it's like I said, or Joe said, it's one of those songs that transcends the genre. People know it. The album art is iconic.
Right.
That's my list. Pass it off to Jimmy.
That was a good list. I'm glad you were get some charts in there, and you got some Stephen King references.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's awesome. Going back to my intro, I do have a disclaimer. I stayed away from the Clash. Not that I don't like them. I actually really enjoy the Clash. I stayed away from the Ramones. Not that I don't like them. I do enjoy the Ramones. Do I listen to them all the time? No, but I'm happy when I'm listening to them. I kind of wanted to push myself past some mainstays. I do have one pretty big mainstay punk name in here in my list, but I really dove into this because I was a little familiar with a lot of these bands by way of the early metal in the 80s that I was listening to. So I knew a little of this, I knew a little of that. I never really dove into it, and I never was really a big punk fan, but I could say that I knew some of these artists and I knew some of their songs. So that's my disclaimer. My second disclaimer is I really pushed hard to get a couple of these bands in. They 100% qualify, but you'll see why I put them into my list. Joe will understand that because he knows them. I'm kind of shocked there's only going to be one Same Z this episode. I kind of assumed that there was going to be a lot of Sex Pistols and a lot of Ramones, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm glad that we all pushed past a lot of that. So that's kind of cool. This episode was really fun for me. It was a little harder because I wasn't familiar with a lot of stuff. So I kind of had fun saying, no, not that one. No, not. Oh, yeah, this one's cool. Writing this down. Yeah. And, I started my list by going to Spin Magazine's top 50 punk bands. I wrote the 50 down and I went from there and broke it down. And that's how I curated my list, was from that initial Spin Magazine.
Wow.
Top X amount of punk bands. So that's how I formulated this list. So I'm going to go right into my list. Well, real quick. I did have a friend in high school, Pat Ronning. He was really into The Accused. I was not a big fan, but they had one of the coolest, what's the word? Martha Splatterhead was their mascot. So if you take a moment to look up Martha Splatterhead, they had some really crazy kind of Iron Maiden-y
nice.
Punk albums with Martha Splatterhead. And I've always adored those albums. They're gross, not gonna lie, a little vulgar, but Martha Splatterhead was a pretty cool mascot for punk. Being anti establishment, they had a mascot. So all right, going into my number 4, I fucking really wanted to get that Minnesota sound in here, that Minneapolis sound. And I'm going to start strong with the Suburbs from 1981. This song is "Tape Your Ceiling," or tape your wife to the ceiling. The Suburbs, they were integral to the Minneapolis punk scene. They're absolutely integral. Were they the biggest band? No. I mean, there were a couple other ones that were bigger, but they were there. And I had a friend that was really into Suburbs, so I knew of these guys, and I knew a handful of their songs, and I went a little further. And this one really grabbed me just because of it's humorous. It's poking fun at suburban life and boredom of suburban life. They're a new wave punk band. Punk, pop art, dance is their genres.
Oh, wow.
It's an absurdist imagery, and the song is really catchy. It's early punk with a little hint of new wave in there, so it's kind of accessible, catchy again. It's a literal and a bizarre scenario of taping the wife to the ceiling. Again, performance art. It's intended to be a parody, poking fun at suburban boredom and introduce total chaos. It's energetic Minneapolis sound of the early 80s. That there's no notes to much of this band or even this song. But if you get a chance, check out the song. I love it. It's hooky, it's catchy, it's punky.
Yeah. It's a good album.
Yeah, I don't know it, so I got to check it out for sure.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those bands that everyone knew in Minnesota, and everyone's like, "Oh, they're gonna make it big." And they never made it big. You know, I think they might have been on a soundtrack, but yeah, they never made it big. You know, so, but they were one of those bands that's always on the cusp of like, okay, they're gonna be the next big band coming out, and they never did.
We knew them, but I don't think the rest of the world really did.
Exactly,
and that's why I asked you guys earlier about Husker Du, because we knew them. They were mainstays.
Yeah, we knew that, or I'd heard of them. I've never heard of them.
Yeah.
The Suburbs, no. I don't think I've heard of. It's certainly not this song. And if I think I've heard of the band, it might just because I've been heard of the actual Suburbs. So I might just be confusing the fact that I've heard,
right?
You know, people live in the suburbs. I've never actually heard their music. So.
yeah.
Check them out. You might like
the Suburbs. I don't want to go with the Burbs.
Again, though, they're a very accessible band. That's what, and you listen to them, you're like, oh, it's interesting. These guys didn't make it big because, like I said, Husker Du made it past the replacements. Soul Asylum, obviously, probably the most, radio friendly of all those bands.
Right. But turned alt rock. Yeah.
Yeah. But Suburbs is, very accessible. So you might like it.
All right. So going to my number 2, this is going to be the most kind of obvious on my list. I fought really hard to get 3 different songs, a couple coin tosses, a couple listens each time over and over and over, narrowed it down to 2 songs. The other song that did not make the list is I Turned Into a Martian. This is Where Eagles Dare by the Misfits. I'm not a ginormous fan of the Misfits, but I do enjoy a bunch of the Misfits. I've owned a couple of their albums. They famously have an album that has 0 stops between the songs, and that's Earth AD Wolf's Blood. So all the songs just run in. If you don't own the actual vinyl, you wouldn't even know where the true stop and starts are. So that's kind of a famous thing that they did too, a big fuck you.
Right.
This was released in 79, so this is my oldest. This is going to be my only 70s punk song. Its B-side was Night of the Living Dead, which became a more famous song for them because of that B-side. This song was actually recorded twice. The first time it was recorded horribly. There was a... They recorded it on Glenn Danzig, the singer of the Misfits, created his own label, Plan 9, and they put this album onto Plan 9, not initially, the second time they recorded it. There was a problem with the tape deck that caused it to run a little faster, so during mastering, that's the second kind of recording where they tweak everything and make a final cut of the song. one tape was running faster than the other, and it made it really bass heavy. So they ended up not liking it and recreating it with a better production value, which is kind of the irony of anti-production. There was a columnist, James Green Jr. He said, "This is a crude pounder whose blistering chorus challenges you to take it serious." So it was a tongue-in-cheek jab at saying it was an all right song, but they wanted to be taken more serious than they actually were. Diffuser ranked this number 2 of the 10 best Misfits songs. Yeah, just Misfits. They're storied. Everyone kind of knew the shirt, the Misfits shirt. Everyone had the Misfits shirt. I found the Misfits by way of Metallica because James Hetfield had the Misfits shirt. And I believe Kirk Hammett had a Misfits guitar as well. They had a side project that I found by way of Metallica. It's looks like it's pronounced as Sam Hain. It's actually Samhain. It's an Irish Halloween ritual. It was actually the Misfits with another person playing on there. So I kind of got into them a little bit. Again, it was just because I was a huge Metallica fan and I have to love what Metallica like.
Right.
Yeah.
Stupid childhood. But yeah, you talk about the subgenre. Misfits are kind of the complete branded horror punk.
Yeah.
That's my notes because I know we're running a little long, so I'm going to keep it a little shorter. You guys, Misfits.
Yeah, I'm glad we hit on all the biggies. We got Dead Kennedys, we got Ramones, we got the Misfits, we got the Clash, Sex Pistols. I mean,
The Damned. Yeah.
The Damned. And we got all the biggies. We really did. Without, I don't think, going for their most, well, obviously besides London Calling, the other one's not real popular. And Sex Pistols probably, but I mean, this is definitely not one of their most popular songs. So.
Right.
Yeah, this is a great pick. And again, I forgot about this song until I was listening to it when I was finding Album art and stuff like that. I was like, oh yeah, I haven't heard this song in a while.
It's a good song.
It is. Yeah, it's a very good song. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty well written.
And I think the weird thing is too, I think you would almost think the Misfits are pretty accessible, or a lot of people listen to them because you see, again, their logo is iconic, right?
Mm-hmm.
T-shirts.
Right.
I don't think most of those people actually listen to the Misfits.
Yeah.
Right.
They're not very accessible, but at the same time, they kind of are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always just within reach.
Yeah, great pick. This is a good song. I completely forgot about it. So yeah, nice pick, man.
I have a personal issue with people that wear shirts that can't name a song.
Eh.
I wouldn't wear a shirt. Like, I know, like, some of my kids' friends wear Iron Maiden shirts. I'm like, name 3 Iron Maiden.
I mean, I wear hockey jerseys.
It's just a personal thing for me, and you can wear whatever you want to wear. I don't care, but like, I wouldn't wear it in case somebody asked me. I'm like, I don't know. But it's
Yeah. That's my worry. Somebody's like, "Hey, what's your favorite song?" I don't know.
I love them all.
Yeah, they're vast
I know
catalog. I
this
can't
from
pick just one.
Danzig. Like, I liked Danzig, right?
I mean, look at it this way. I mean, the
Yeah, that's the only song I know by Danzig.
look at it this way.
No.
Bands make their money off of merch, right? So hey, yeah, at least they're making money. So.
Yeah, right on, right? Like,
There is one note: is the Misfits logo. I forgot the character's name. Is the #1 selling rock T-shirt in history.
I believe it.
I believe it.
Yep, not surprised.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Misfits and then it goes Dead Kennedys because that logo is.
Oh yeah, the DK. Yeah.
Everyone I knew growing up, everyone did. Whether you were a long hair back in the day, or if you were, you were a dark sider, as was people that were emo back in the day, right? Or a jock. Everyone had a Dead Kennedys or Misfits T-shirt.
Or
Yep.
Dead Milkman.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Milkman, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the skaters had the Dead Milkman.
Yeah.
Right? Suicidal
And I had a lot of friends who were
Dead
skaters.
Milkman,
So,
right.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
all right. So I'm going to move on to my number 2 because it's just floating around in there. I really like this band. I like 3 or 4 albums. Like, completely loved several of these guys' albums. This song actually was one of the first songs to hit MTV in rotation. And I'm talking about the song called Institutionalized by Suicidal Tendencies.
Wow.
Just want a Pepsi, Mom.
Yeah.
The whole
Mike.
the whole song, it's really cool. Is the verses, it's just really kind of a blues scale, just kind of over and over, kind of subdued, and then eventually it hits that chorus, and it's just a big fuck you. So this is the only single from this 1983 album, Institutionalized. It is hardcore / thrash, so you can see where I kind of pulled from on that.
Yeah.
It did get re-released in 1993, and when it got re-released, it was Graminated. It was nominated for a Grammy. Best Metal Performance in 1994, lost to Ozzy, I Don't Want to Change the World.
I knew it would catch on.
Right? Graminated. The story of the song, it follows a teenager, Mike Muir, through a series of social conflicts with friends and family, mostly family. Convinced the friends and family convinced he's on drugs, he's whacked out, he's losing his mind, and all he wants is just a Pepsi to calm down. He just, it's kind of a modern sign of mental health. Some people that I know in real life that have some mental health issues, when they're having an episode or they're getting worked up, they want a space to sit down and calm down. And the reference in this is Joe is frozen. The reference in this is the Pepsi signifies, hey man, I just want to calm down. Just want to relax for a moment. So there is a kind of a fast forward to modern life of mental health awareness. Right. The lyrics, they're not sung. They're talk sung, and they seemingly pick up face as frantic happens. The verse progresses. It was ranked number 3 on 106.7 LA radio top songs countdown in 1983. So this song hit hard in LA. That's where Suicidal's from. It's the first hardcore punk song to receive significant airplay on MTV. That's it. I really do enjoy a lot of Suicidal Tendencies. The album after this is amazing. The album after that, Lights, Camera, Action, hit major MTV play, and I loved those several albums.
Yeah, actually, Lights, Camera, Revolution was the album I came on to. It was like, oh, I think everyone had that album, right?
Great album.
Yeah. Great pick. I'm not surprised you picked these guys because I said, yeah, they were considered thrash back, but their roots are in punk. I mean,
this album is punk.
Yeah, completely. Yes. Great pick. I'm glad this band was added too, because when else are we going to be able to talk about Suicidal Tendencies?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, at the time, being a musician,
right,
at that time, everyone listened to Suicidal. Everyone did. Mm-hmm. It was for at least where we grew up, they were just as big to us as Metallica was.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I remember they were playing at a festival at Molson Park in Barrie, and for some reason this is stuck in my head. I was watching Much Music Power Hour or whatever it was, and they were talking to fans going into the venue, and they're like, the majority of them were all looking forward. They're like, who are you looking forward to see? All of them are saying Tendencies, Suicidal Tendencies.
Yep.
All of them.
Pure energy. I've seen them a couple times, and I got, I guess, lucky for me, unlucky for them. I saw them a couple times in stadium tours. They actually opened up for Queensryche one time. I saw them, and that was off Lights, Camera, Action. But I saw them a little later. I think 94. They had kind of some radio-friendly metal stuff. They had a song called "Nobody Hears."
Yeah.
I got to see them at a place in Phoenix called the Electric Ballroom, which would be the size of the Orpheum in Minneapolis, Joe, so you understand the size.
Yeah.
So I saw them in arenas, and then I saw them kind of in a smaller venue, and it was amazing, and I had my elbows on the stage, and it was awesome. I believe it was Stephen Perkins was playing drums on that album.
Nice.
So, all right. So here's my controversial pick. It's CanCon.
Oh,
It is CanCon. So in 1983, there was a Canadian version of Saturday Night Live, and it was called SCTV.
Yep.
And one of the skits was Mel's Rock Pile, which featured a band called the Queen Haters. And their song was I Hate the Bloody Queen. Martin Short singing, John Candy playing drums, Joe Flaherty playing bass, Andrea Martin playing guitar, and Eugene Levy playing lead guitar. Now, it is a real song, and it is a song by a Toronto punk band called Young Lions. But they wrote the song for SCTV. It turned into a hit for them. I'm sorry, if you guys have, the watchers, listeners, if you guys have 5 minutes, go to YouTube. Just type in the Queen Haters. That's all you have to type in. And it's 3 minutes of hilarity, and it's awesome. It is every stereotype you could think of for the punk genre on SCTV, and I love SCTV. And we were talking on another episode, it's not streaming anywhere because there are too many music rights. I looked it up. Too many music rights for them to be able to stream.
Yep.
So that's my number one.
Wow, what a pick, man. I wasn't expecting that at all.
One of my bands, a band called Hemlock, we actually played the song live, and it was so much fun. People looked around like, what the hell is this? The people, like the guys in the band, and then the people around the band, the handful of people that knew us knew that it was SCTV, and we just had so much fun.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, when I got your list, I smiled. I'm like, oh my God. Because I forgot. It's been a while since I've seen the skit.
Yeah, I forgot about it
And
too.
then, like,
Oh, me too.
And I'm like, why does it sound so familiar? And I brought it up because the only place, because like the first place I always look is Apple Music. I'm like, this isn't on Apple Music. And now also on YouTube, I'm like, oh my God, it's this. Yes, it's I have not seen this in years.
Yeah.
I love the lyrics too, because you're right. It's every generic punk cliche and all the lyrics.
Trope, yeah.
Martin Short is amazing.
Absolutely.
And I'm pretty sure they're all playing the instruments too, right?
As far as I know, they were. John Candy was playing the drums,
and
Eugene Levy was playing those leads.
Yeah, so I'm pretty, I'm 99% sure they actually played the song. But dude, it's hilarious. Great,
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So that's my little slide in there. But there was a real band that wrote the song and that did re-release it later, and they are the Young Lions from Toronto. That is how I knew there was a Toronto punk scene, because I went further into it. So, all right. If you guys don't have anything else to add, I'm going to kind of close this off.
Close it out.
All right. So this was really fun and interesting. And in the past, we've had some people talk about how, you guys are not really following your hearts or whatever, and doing what you're used to. There's a reason we do these shows, to expand our minds and our music bases, so we can help maybe one or two of you expand some of your music silos. For me, this was a blast. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
Yeah.
Until next week, little teaser. We're gonna have The Cure, so it's gonna be fun.
That's not a little teaser.
Right.
That's not teasing.
Right? I shaved off the mustache. We're having The Cure. So, all right. So we are Just Ranked. I'm Jimmy. We have Dink, Chris, and Joe over there. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for having us. Please hit like, subscribe. We could really use your help on that. Set your podcast to download. It'll show up on your phone, your iPad, wherever you're listening, your laptop, and you can just enjoy the hell out of this, because we're having a great time with this. For that, thank you, and go fuck yourself and the Bloody Queen.
Just Ranked is researched and produced by the Just Ranked crew. Edited and mixed by Joe Burkle. Socials and marketing by DJR Media Services. Theme music by Blue Joker. If you're enjoying the show, please set your podcast app to download new episodes, and help spread the word by leaving a review, and tell everyone you know to listen.
There are only two things I can't stand in this world. People who are intolerant of other people's cultures and the Dutch.
What?
Oh, yeah, right. Well, I tell you what. Why don't you go fuck yourself?